There are moments in life when everything feels uncertain, when the path ahead looks unclear, and when the weight of waiting begins to feel heavier than the burden of moving forward. In those moments, it's easy to question everything, your purpose, your direction, even your worth. But what if the delay is not denial? What if the silence is not absence? What if what feels like a setback is actually a setup for something far greater than you can imagine? God's plan does not operate on human timelines. It doesn't rush because you feel behind. It doesn't panic because doors are closed. It doesn't collapse when things fall apart. While you're worrying about how things will come together, God is already working behind the scenes, aligning people, shifting circumstances, and preparing you for what you've been praying for. You may not understand why certain things had to happen. You may not see the reason behind the pain, the rejection, or the failure. But every experience carries a purpose, shapes you. Every closed door protects you. And every delay builds something inside you that success alone never could. Strength is not formed in comfort. Faith is not built when everything is easy. It grows in the wait, in the uncertainty, in the moments when all you can do is trust. Sometimes God removes people from your life because they cannot go where you are meant to go. Sometimes He allows things to fall apart because they were never part of your destiny. And sometimes He makes you wait because what He has prepared is worth more than anything you could rush into. You're not being ignored, you're being positioned. Think about it. How many times have things not gone your way, only for something better to come later? How many times did you feel lost, only to realize later that you were being guided all along? That's the nature of God's plan. It doesn't always make sense in the moment, but it always makes sense in the end. You are not here by accident. Your life is not random. Every breath you take, every step you walk, every challenge you face is part of a bigger picture. Even when you feel small, your purpose is not. Even when you feel weak, you are being strengthened. Even when you feel forgotten, you are seen. Stop comparing your journey to others. Stop measuring your progress against someone else's timeline. What God has written for you is uniquely yours. No one can take your place. No one can steal what is meant for you. And no one can block what God has already decided. There will be days when you feel like giving up, when the pressure feels too much, when the silence feels too loud. But those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments when faith becomes real. Faith is not believing when you can see everything clearly. Faith is believing when you see nothing at all. Hold on. Even when it's hard, hold on. Even when it doesn't make sense, keep going. Even when you feel alone, remember that you are never truly alone. God is with you in every step, in every tear, in every struggle. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to know how everything will work out. You just need to trust the one who already knows. No? Because God's plan is not just about where you're going. It's about who you're becoming along the way. And one day, everything will come together. One day, the pain will make sense. One day, the waiting will be worth it. One day, you will look back and realize that every moment, every struggle, every delay, every hardship was guiding you exactly where you were meant to be. So keep your faith strong. Keep your heart steady. Keep moving forward, even if it's just one step at a time. As what God has planned for you is greater than anything you could ever plan for yourself. There are seasons in life when everything slows down, when progress feels invisible, and the distance between where you are and where you want to be seems to stretch endlessly. In those moments, it's natural to feel frustrated, to question why things aren't happening, and to wonder if you've somehow been forgotten. You look around and see others moving forward, achieving goals, stepping into opportunities while you feel like you're standing still. But what feels like stillness is not emptiness. What feels like delay is not denial. There's a deeper process unfolding, one that cannot be rushed or skipped. Delays have a way of revealing what immediate success often hides. They expose your patience, your faith, your resilience, and your willingness to keep going even when there is no visible reward. When things happen quickly, it's easy to celebrate outcomes. But when things take time, the focus shifts inward. You begin to grow in ways that are not always obvious, but are absolutely necessary. Your perspective changes. your priorities become clearer. You start to understand that timing is not just about getting what you want, but becoming who you need to be when you receive it. Setbacks can feel like steps backward, like proof that something has gone wrong. But often, there are redirections, quiet interventions steering you away from paths that would not serve your purpose. It's difficult to see this in the moment because pain narrows your vision. Disappointment makes everything feel final. But what if the closed door you're facing is actually protecting you from something you cannot yet see? What if the opportunity that slipped away was never meant to sustain you? Sometimes what you lose is not a loss, but a form of guidance. And Jordans, there's a natural desire to control outcomes, to plan every step, to ensure that life unfolds according to your expectations. But control is limited. No matter how carefully you plan, there are forces beyond your understanding shaping the bigger picture. When things don't go according to your plan, it doesn't mean there is no plan. It means the plan is greater than your current view. It's being written in ways you may not fully understand yet. Waiting is one of the hardest experiences because it requires you to trust without evidence. It asks you to believe that something is happening even when you can't see it. But waiting is never wasted. In the waiting, you are being prepared. Your strength is being tested. Your character is being refined. Your faith is being deepened. These are not small things. These are the foundations that will carry you when the moment finally arrives. Think about how often people receive something they prayed for, only to realize they were not ready to handle it. Without preparation, blessings can become burdens. So opportunities can turn into pressure. Success can become overwhelming. The delay you're experiencing might be the very thing ensuring that when you finally step into what is meant for you, you will have the strength, the wisdom, and the stability to sustain it. It's also important to understand that your journey is not meant to mirror anyone else's. Just because someone else's path seems faster or easier does not mean yours is wrong. Different timelines serve different purposes. What takes longer is not necessarily worse. Sometimes it is more meaningful, more lasting, and more aligned with who you are becoming. When setbacks happen, it's easy to interpret them as signs to stop, as indications that you are on the wrong path. But not every obstacle is a dead end. Some obstacles are tests. They ask you if you're willing to keep going, if you're committed to your purpose, if your faith can endure uncertainty. Growth does not happen when everything is smooth. It happens when you are challenged to rise above difficulty. There will be moments when you feel tired of waiting, when you feel like giving up because nothing seems to be changing. But change is not always visible. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean it isn't happening. Seeds grow beneath the surface long before they break through the ground. In the same way, things are developing in your life in ways you may not yet recognize. Trusting through delays and setbacks is not about ignoring your feelings or pretending everything is easy. It's about choosing to believe that there is meaning in the process, even when it's uncomfortable. It's about holding on to the understanding that your current situation is not your final destination. What you are experiencing now is a chapter, not the whole story. One day, you will look back and see how everything connected. You will understand why certain things didn't happen when you wanted them to. You will see how the delays protected you, how the setbacks redirected you, and how every difficult moment contributed to where you ended up. What feels heavy now will make sense later. Until then, keep going. Keep trusting. Keep believing that even when nothing seems to be moving, everything is being aligned in ways you cannot yet see. There is a kind of growth that only comes through pressure, a depth of strength that cannot be built in comfort. When everything is going smoothly, when life is predictable and easy, it's tempting to believe that you are strong simply because nothing is testing you. But true strength is not measured by how you stand when nothing is against you. It is revealed in how you respond when everything seems to be working against you. Struggles have a way of stripping away illusion. They remove the layers of confidence that are based on external success and force you to confront who you are at your core. In moments of hardship, you begin to see what truly matters. You discover what you are holding on to, what you believe in, and how deeply rooted your faith really is. These moments are not meant to break you, even though they may feel like they will. They are meant to expose the parts of you that need to grow. Rejection in particular carries a unique kind of pain. Feels personal, as if your value is being questioned or your efforts are being dismissed. But rejection is often not a reflection of your worth. It is a form of redirection. It closes doors that are not aligned with your path and pushes you toward places you might not have chosen on your own. And in the moment, it can feel like loss, but in time, it often reveals itself as protection. Hardship also builds resilience, the quiet ability to endure without losing yourself. Resilience is not loud or dramatic. It is steady and persistent. It is the decision to keep going when every part of you wants to stop. It is choosing to rise again after being knocked down, not because it is easy, but because something within you refuses to give up. This kind of strength cannot be taught through words alone. It must be experienced, lived through, and earned. Every challenge you face leaves something behind within you. It might be a lesson, a shift in perspective, or a deeper understanding of life. Over time, these experiences accumulate and shape the person you become. You start to carry yourself differently. You become less shaken by small difficulties because you have already faced greater ones. You begin to trust yourself more because you have seen what you are capable of surviving. There is also a refining process that happens through struggle. Just as fire purifies metal, difficult experiences refine your character. They burn away pride, impatience, and fear, leaving behind something stronger and more grounded. This process is not comfortable, and it is not quick. It requires endurance. It requires faith. But it produces a version of you that is more prepared for what lies ahead. It is important to recognize that growth through hardship is not about seeking pain or glorifying suffering. It is about understanding that when hardship comes, it carries the potential to transform you. You can choose to become bitter, to let pain harden your heart and close you off, or you can choose to become better, to allow the experience to deepen your understanding and expand your strength. Failure is another form of struggle that often feels final in the moment. It can make you question your abilities and doubt your path. But failure is rarely the end. It is feedback. It shows you what didn't work, what needs to change, and where you can improve. It humbles you, but it also teaches you. Many of the greatest successes are built on foundations of repeated failure, each attempt bringing new insight and greater clarity. The process of becoming stronger is gradual. It does not happen overnight, and it does not always feel like progress. There will be days when you feel like you are not moving forward at all, but growth is not always visible. It often happens beneath the surface, in the quiet decisions you make each day to keep going, to keep believing, to keep trying. Struggles also deepen your empathy. When you have experienced pain, you become more aware of the struggles of others. You become more compassionate, more understanding, and more willing to support those who are going through similar challenges. In this way, your hardships not only shape you, but also enable you to make a difference in the lives of others. Over time, you may begin to see your struggles differently. Instead of viewing them as obstacles, you start to recognize them as opportunities for growth. You realize that without them, you would not have developed the strength, wisdom, and resilience you now carry. They become part of your story, not as points of defeat, but as moments of transformation. You are stronger than you think, but that strength is revealed and developed through what you go through. Every challenge, every rejection, every difficult moment is adding something to you. It is shaping your character, strengthening your spirit, and preparing you for what lies ahead. Even when it feels overwhelming, even when you question whether you can endure, there is a process unfolding within you. You are being shaped into someone who can carry more, withstand more, and achieve more. And one day, you will look back and realize that the very things you once wished to avoid were the things that made you who you are today. There are moments in life when things fall apart in ways you never expected. People walk away without explanation. Opportunities disappear just when you thought they were within reach, and paths you were certain about suddenly close. In those moments, it's easy to feel confused, hurt, even betrayed by the outcome. You question why something that felt so right could end so abruptly. You wonder what you did wrong or what you could have done differently to hold things together. But not everything that leaves your life is meant to stay, and not everything that breaks apart is a loss. Sometimes removal is not punishment, it is protection. It is a quiet, unseen force guiding you away from what could harm you in ways you cannot yet understand. What feels like rejection may actually be a form of preservation. What feels like an ending may be preventing a much deeper kind of pain. But in the moment, clarity is rare. All you feel is the absence, the gap left behind by something or someone you thought would remain. There is a natural tendency to hold on, to try to fix what is slipping away, to chase what is leaving. You invest your energy into restoring what once was, believing that if you try hard enough, you can bring things back to how they used to be. But not everything is meant to be repaired. Some things are meant to be released. Holding on to what is no longer aligned with your path can delay your growth and keep you stuck in a place you have already outgrown. Redirection often comes disguised as disruption. It shakes your plans, interrupts your expectations, and forces you to reconsider your direction. It rarely feels gentle. It can be uncomfortable, even painful. But redirection has a purpose. It shifts you towards something better suited for your journey, even if you cannot see it right away. The path you were on may have seemed right, but there may be a greater path waiting that you could not have found without being moved. People, too, come and go for reasons that are not always clear at first. Some enter your life to support you during a specific season, to teach you something, or to help you grow. When that purpose is fulfilled, their presence may no longer be necessary. This does not diminish the value they once had in your life. It simply means that the season has changed. Letting go of people is one of the hardest parts of growth because it involves accepting that not everyone is meant to stay with you forever. There is also protection in the doors that do not open. You may work hard, prepare yourself, and feel ready for a certain opportunity, only to see it slip away. It can feel like a setback, like all your effort has been wasted. But sometimes the opportunity you wanted is not the one you want. Sometimes it is not aligned with your purpose, your growth, or your future. Being kept from it is not a sign that you are not capable. It is a sign that something else is being prepared. Trusting in this process requires a shift in perspective. Instead of asking why something was taken away, you begin to ask what it might be protecting you from. Instead of focusing on what you lost, you start to consider what you might gain. This does not erase the pain or make the experience easy, but it allows you to see beyond the immediate moment. Growth often requires space. When certain things are removed from your life, it creates room for new opportunities, new relationships, and new directions to enter. If everything stayed the same, there would be no space for change. There would be no opportunity for something better to take its place. The emptiness you feel after something leaves is not just loss. It is also potential. There's a kind of strength that comes from accepting what you cannot control. You cannot control. You cannot force people to stay, you cannot guarantee outcomes, and you cannot prevent every disappointment. But you can choose how you respond. You can choose to trust that even when things do not go as planned, there is still a plan unfolding. Over time, what once felt like loss often reveals its purpose. You begin to see how certain people or situations were not aligned with where you were meant to go. You recognize how staying in those situations would have limited your growth or taken you further away from your purpose. What once felt like something being taken from you begins to look like something you were being freed from. Letting go is not about forgetting or dismissing what mattered to you. It is about accepting that not everything is meant to remain part of your life. It is about trusting that what is truly meant for you will not require you to force it, chase it endlessly, or lose yourself to keep it. There is a quiet reassurance in knowing that your path is being guided, even when you do not understand it. The removal, the redirection, the closed doors, they are all part of a process that is leading you somewhere. You may not see the destination yet, but each step, even the painful ones, is moving you closer to where you are meant to be. And one day, you will look back and understand. You will see how what left your life made space for something better. You will realize that what felt like rejection was actually protection. And you will be grateful that not everything you wanted stayed, because it allowed you to receive what you truly need. There are times when life unfolds in ways that don't make sense, when events don't align with your expectations and the answers you're searching for seem just out of reach. You try to understand why things are happening the way they are, but clarity doesn't come. Instead, you are left with uncertainty, questions, and a deep desire for things to feel settled again. In those moments, patience and faith are not easy choices. They require you to stand firm without knowing how long the uncertainty will last or what the outcome will be. The need to understand is natural. You want reasons, explanations, something that gives you a sense of control. When you can see the full picture, it's easier to move forward with confidence. But when the picture is incomplete, when pieces are missing, doubt begins to grow. You start to question your direction, your decisions, and even your purpose. It can feel like you're moving through a fog, unsure of what lies ahead or whether you're even on the right path. Patience in this kind of environment is not passive. It is active and intentional. It is the decision to remain steady when everything around you feels uncertain. It is choosing not to rush into decisions simply to escape discomfort. It is resisting the urge to force outcomes before their time. Patience asks you to trust that clarity will come, even if it hasn't arrived yet. Faith goes even deeper. It is not based on what you can see or prove. It exists in the absence of evidence. It is the quiet belief that there is meaning behind what you are experiencing, even if that meaning is hidden for now. Faith does not eliminate doubt, but it gives you something to hold on to in the middle of it. It keeps you grounded when your thoughts begin to drift toward fear and uncertainty. There is a tendency to equate progress with speed, to believe that moving quickly is always better than moving slowly. But not all progress is meant to be fast. Some things require time to develop fully. When you rush the process, you risk missing important lessons or stepping into situations you are not prepared for. Patience allows things to unfold at the right pace, ensuring that when opportunities arrive, you are ready for them. Uncertainty can feel uncomfortable because it forces you to let go of control. You cannot predict outcomes or guarantee results. You are asked to move forward without a clear roadmap, trusting that each step will lead you where you need to go. This can feel risky, even frightening. But growth often happens in these uncertain spaces. When you don't have all the answers, you learn to rely on something deeper than your own understanding. It is important to recognize that not knowing does not mean something is wrong. It simply means that the process is still unfolding. Just because you cannot see the end does not mean there is no direction. There are things happening beyond your awareness, pieces coming together in ways you cannot yet perceive. Your role is not to control every detail, but to remain steady as the process continues. There will be moments when waiting feels heavy, when the lack of answers becomes frustrating. You may feel tempted to give up or to settle for something less just to escape the discomfort of not knowing. But giving in to that pressure can lead you away from what is truly meant for you. Patience requires strength. It requires you to hold your position even when it would be easier to move prematurely. Faith also transforms how you interpret your experiences. Instead of seeing uncertainty as a problem, you begin to see it as a space for growth. Instead of viewing delays as obstacles, you start to understand them as part of a larger timing that you cannot yet see. This shift in perspective does not remove the challenges, but it changes how you experience them. There is a quiet strength in continuing to move forward without full understanding. It shows resilience, trust, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. You begin to realize that you do not need to have everything figured out to take the next step. Sometimes all that is required is the courage to keep going, even when the path is unclear. Over time, patience and faith begin to shape your character. They teach you to remain calm under pressure, to trust the process, and to let go of the need for immediate answers. You become less reactive to uncertainty and more grounded in your ability to navigate it. What once felt overwhelming begins to feel manageable because you have learned how to endure it. There is also a deeper sense of peace that comes from surrendering the need to understand everything. You begin to accept that some things will only make sense in hindsight. This acceptance allows you to focus on what you can do in the present, rather than being consumed by what you cannot control. Eventually, clarity does come. The pieces begin to connect, and what once felt confusing starts to make sense. You see how each moment of uncertainty played a role in guiding you, shaping you. and preparing you for what was ahead. The waiting, the not knowing, the moments of doubt, they all become part of a larger story that you can finally understand. Until that moment arrives, patience and faith remain your foundation. They carry you through the uncertainty, giving you the strength to continue even when the path is unclear. And as you keep moving forward, step by step, you begin to realize that not understanding everything was never a weakness. It was an invitation to trust more deeply and to grow in ways you never expected. It's easy to fall into the habit of measuring your life against the lives of others. You look around and see people achieving things you desire, reaching milestones you haven't yet reached, and moving forward at a pace that makes you question your own progress. Without even realizing it, you begin to compare timelines, accomplishments, and outcomes. You start asking yourself why you're not where they are, why things seem easier for them, and whether you're somehow falling behind. Comparison often begins subtly, but it grows quickly. It shifts your focus away from your own journey and places it onto someone else's path. Instead of appreciating where you are and recognizing your own growth, you begin to feel inadequate. The progress you have made starts to feel insignificant because it doesn't match what you see in others. This mindset can quietly drain your confidence and distort your perspective. The truth is that no two journeys are the same. Each person carries a different set of experiences, challenges, opportunities, and timing. What you see on the surface is only a small part of someone else's story. You don't see the struggles they faced, the sacrifices they've made, or the obstacles they've overcome. You're comparing your full reality to someone else's highlights, and that comparison is never fair. There is also a deeper issue with comparison. It can cause you to lose sight of your own purpose. When you focus too much on what others are doing, you may start to pursue goals that are not truly aligned with who you are. You may chase paths that look successful from the outside, but do not bring you fulfillment. In trying to match someone else's life, you risk drifting away from what is genuinely meant for you. Your path is designed with intention. The timing of your experiences, the challenges you face, and the opportunities you encounter all serve a purpose in shaping who you are becoming. If your journey unfolded exactly like someone else's, it would not serve that purpose. The delays you experience, the lessons you learn, and the pace at which you grow are all part of a process that is uniquely yours. It is important to understand that being at a different stage does not mean you are behind. It simply means you are on a different timeline. Progress is not always linear, and it does not look the same for everyone. Some people reach certain milestones early, while others take longer. Neither path is better or worse. They are simply different. What matters is not how quickly you move, but how well you grow along the way. When you let go of comparison, you create space to focus on your own development. You begin to notice your own progress, even if it feels small. You start to appreciate the steps you've taken, the lessons you've learned, and the strength you've built. This shift in focus allows you to move forward with greater clarity and confidence because you are no longer distracted by what others are doing. There's also a sense of peace that comes from accepting your own pace. Instead of feeling pressure to keep up, you allow yourself to grow naturally. You recognize that some things cannot be rushed and that forcing progress can lead to burnout or poor decisions. By respecting your own timing, you give yourself the opportunity to build something more stable and meaningful. It's also worth considering that what appears to be success for someone else may not be what you truly want. From a distance, certain achievements can seem desirable, but when you look closer, they may come with responsibilities or sacrifices that do not align with your values. When you stop comparing, you gain the freedom to define success on your own terms rather than adopting someone else's definition. Another important aspect is gratitude. Comparison often shifts your attention to what you lack, while gratitude brings your focus back to what you have. When you take time to acknowledge the positive aspects of your life, your perspective begins to change. You start to see that even if you are not where you want to be yet, you are not without progress or value. This mindset strengthens your ability to remain patient and motivated. There will still be moments when comparison tries to return. It is a natural tendency, especially in a world where people constantly share their achievements and milestones. But each time it arises, you have a choice. You can either allow it to undermine your confidence or use it as a reminder to refocus on your own path. The more you practice choosing your own journey, the easier it becomes to stay grounded in it. Over time, you begin to trust your process more deeply. You understand that your path does not need to look like anyone else's to be valid. You recognize that your growth, even if it is slower or less visible, is still meaningful. You develop a stronger sense of identity because you are no longer measuring yourself against external standards. One day you will reach a point where you can look back and see how everything unfolded in its own time. You will realize that the pace you once questioned was actually necessary. You will see how each step, each delay, and each lesson contributed to where you are. And in that moment, you will understand that your journey was never meant to be compared. It was meant to be lived in its own unique way. There comes a point where thinking, waiting, and questioning must give way to action. Not because you suddenly have all the answers, but because standing still for too long begins to drain your spirit. Moving forward does not require perfect clarity. It does not demand that every detail be figured out in advance. It simply requires a willingness to take the next step, even if that step feels small, uncertain, or incomplete. Faith is not meant to keep you in one place. It is meant to move you. It pushes you beyond hesitation and fear, encouraging you to act despite the doubts that try to hold you back. There will always be reasons to wait, reasons that sound logical, even convincing. You may tell yourself that you need more preparation, more confidence, more assurance. But if you wait for the perfect moment, you may find yourself waiting forever. The perfect moment rarely arrives fully formed. It is often created through the courage to begin. Taking action with faith means accepting that you will not always feel ready. It means understanding that growth happens as you move, not before you start. Each step you take teaches you something new. Each effort you make reveals insights you could not have gained by staying still. Progress is not built on certainty. It is built on movement. There is also strength in consistency. Moving forward is not about making one big leap and expecting everything to change instantly. It is about showing up again and again, even when the results are not immediate. It is about committing to your path, even when motivation fades and challenges arise. Small, steady steps often lead to the most meaningful outcomes because they build a foundation that can last. Doubt will try to accompany you on this journey. It will whisper that you are not ready, that you are not capable, that you are not capable. These thoughts can be powerful, but they are not final. Doubt is a natural response to uncertain certainty, but it does not have to control your actions. You can acknowledge it without allowing it to stop you. In fact, moving forward despite doubt is one of the clearest signs of faith. There will be obstacles along the way. Some will test your patience, others your confidence, and some your endurance. You may face moments where progress slows down or where results seem far away. In those times, it is important to remember why you started. Your purpose, your vision, and your belief in what lies ahead can serve as anchors, keeping you grounded when circumstances become challenging. It is also important to allow yourself to learn through the process. Not every step will go as planned. You may make mistakes, take wrong turns, or encounter unexpected difficulties, but these experiences are not failures in the truest sense. They are part of the journey. They teach you, refine your approach, and help you grow. What matters is not avoiding mistakes entirely, but continuing to move forward with the lessons you gain. Moving forward with faith also requires letting go of the need for immediate results. In a world that often values quick outcomes, it can be difficult to stay committed when progress feels slow. But meaningful growth often takes time. The results you are working toward may not appear right away, but that does not mean your efforts are wasted. Every step contributes to something larger, even if you cannot see it yet. There is a quiet confidence that begins to develop when you commit to moving forward. It is not loud or boastful, it is steady and grounded. It comes from knowing that you are doing your part, that you are taking action, and that you are not allowing fear to keep you stuck. This confidence grows over time, strengthening with each step you take. You may not always know where the path will lead, but you can trust that moving forward is better than remaining in place. Even if the direction needs to be adjusted later, you will have gained experience, insight, and strength along the way. Standing still offers none of these. It only prolongs uncertainty and delays growth. There's also a sense of alignment that comes with action. When you begin to move, opportunities often begin to appear. Connections form, ideas develop, and new possibilities emerge. These things are rarely visible when you remain inactive. Movement creates momentum, and momentum opens doors that were previously hidden. At times, the journey may feel long. You may wonder if your efforts will truly lead to something meaningful. In those moments, it is important to stay grounded in faith, not a passive belief, but an active trust that your steps are leading somewhere, even if you cannot yet see the destination. This trust allows you to keep going, to keep building, and to keep believing. Over time, the steps you take begin to add up. What once felt small and insignificant becomes part of a larger picture. You begin to see progress, even if it is gradual. You recognize that each moment of effort, each decision to keep going, has contributed to where you are. One day, you will look back and see how far you have come. You will realize that it was not a single moment that brought you there, but a series of steps taken in faith. Steps taken when you were unsure, steps taken when you felt unprepared, steps taken when giving up might have seemed easier. Moving forward is not about having everything figured out. It is about trusting enough to take the next step, and then the next, and the next. And as you continue, you begin to understand that the path is not revealed all at once. It unfolds as you walk it one step at a time. And in the end, it becomes clear that the journey was never about reaching a destination as quickly as possible, but about becoming the person capable of standing in that destination with strength, wisdom, and an unshakable faith. Every step you took, even the uncertain ones, carried meaning. Every moment you chose to keep going shaped something within you that could not have been built any other way. What once felt like hesitation turns into courage. What once felt like confusion turns into clarity. And what once felt like weakness becomes your greatest source of strength. You realize that nothing was wasted. Not the waiting, not the struggles, not even the mistakes. All of it worked together, quietly and powerfully, to guide you forward. And as you stand there, looking back at everything you've overcome, you understand that moving forward with faith was never just a choice. It was the path that carried you exactly where you were meant to be.